It's a subsection of supply chain management. And it has to do with the job of a purchasing manager. But before we understand what purchasing management is all about, we need to understand what the supply chain is all about and supply chain management is all about. Supply chain management is inputs coming into a process that have desired outputs. Getting raw materials, processing it, and giving those raw materials to someone or something that will use those raw materials in its refined form. So purchasing management is a supply chain management that deals with getting goods from the supplier in production factory or an organization, processing those goods and delivering those goods to the user or the factory floor manager. That says as the output. So it's input, process, output. And in our own case, in purchasing management, it is supplier, purchasing manager, and user or production manager. So the course is about looking at the issues that will be faced by a purchasing manager when he has to manage the supply chain. That is basically what purchasing management is all about. So in actual fact, when we ask the question, what is the job of a purchasing manager, what are we saying? His job is to ensure that the process that the supplier has to follow to get his goods to the production manager and the process that the production manager uses to acquire the goods from the supplier is smooth, effective, and strategic for the company. He's the one who smoothens things between these two people. And in organizations where these things have a lot of value and make a very big impact, it is a very important job. If the production manager doesn't have the right tools at the right time, in the right place, at the right quality to do what he needs to do, he's going to make wrong products, or products that have poor quality and can't meet up with market expectations. So the purchasing manager ensures that this does not happen, ensures that goods are gotten at the right price, at the right time, stored properly, and at the right quality, so that the production manager has everything he needs to be competitive in the marketplace. That is the main job of the purchasing manager. And that is what this course is all about, looking at the issues and factors that influence this process. And then, like I have said, the three main people involved, please do not forget, take note of this, are the supplier, the purchasing manager, and the user production manager. Their relationship. These are the things we're looking at. How do they interact? What kind of documents do they use? What forms do they use? What specifications? What quality? What process? How does it work? This is purchasing management, and these are the three people involved in the process that you need to think about. So any question or anything you want to analyze in this topic, you need to look at it from the perspective of one of these players. An issue of quality, for example. What does the supplier see as quality? What does the purchasing manager see as quality? Is it the same thing as what the production manager sees as quality? If these things don't match, then there's a problem already. The purchasing manager has to work around these three relationships. So the third question will be, what is the real value of the purchasing manager? I have answered this question already. He ensures things don't go wrong. If you want to summarize the main job of the purchasing manager in one word, he ensures things don't go wrong, and he ensures the organization is competitive and can deliver as and when it needs to deliver. You imagine that a petrol station wants to supply fuel to its customers, and the purchasing manager didn't do his job correctly. There will be no fuel. That's what causes fuel scarcity. There's a problem in the supply chain, and it usually starts with the purchasing manager. He didn't do his job well, he didn't get the product on time, he didn't store it properly. One thing or the other will cause there to be disruption, and this disruption will lead to chaos. So, in essence, the purchasing manager adds value to the organization by making sure things go smoothly as much as possible. And in some cases, ensure that the organization can achieve its competitive advantage by getting things right. So the second point that we will look at is we've seen the purchasing manager has a lot of work to do, but there's something very important that a purchasing manager must be aware of, and it is specification. We have talked about communication between these three parties. So we need to understand what specification is, because that is what a purchasing manager is going to use as his criteria. It's what he's going to use to determine what he needs to get. It's a way he can measure quality. It's a way he can measure value. If he goes to the production manager and asks, you want a particular product, please can I have the full specification of this product? That document would help him to go to the supplier and ask the supplier for his own specification, and then look at these two things. And then he could say, your specification and my specification do not match. So what is the compromise? Can we work around this? So specification is the currency of production management, because when you talk about satisfying the production manager, how can you satisfy him if you don't know what he wants? So, and then how can you deliver goods to a company if you don't know exactly what the person wants? Not having the right specification is breeding chaos and creating a situation where things will go wrong. Because the supplier could say, I am giving you a high quality product. The production manager says, no, but that's not what I want. That's good quality for you, and it's bad quality for me. So understanding specification in supply chain management will help you to know what everyone wants. And as a purchasing manager, you can make the right decision based on these specifications. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of doing things with specifications? Yes, it could be a tedious process. That is a disadvantage. You have to go and start taking documentation, writing things down. It could seem tedious, but the advantage is that it would benefit you in the long run. It will be easy for you to know what you're dealing with. Sometimes, if you don't work with specifications, you could have something could look blue to you, but if in the specification it says blue that is confirmed by a light meter, something could look blue to you, you buy it, and then you go to the production manager, he tests this light meter and is showing that it looks purple. You make a mistake. So specifications prevents you from making these kind of mistakes. When specifications are worked with, you have less mistakes from the purchasing. So it's a tedious process, and sometimes it can be stressful for both parties, but then it has more advantages than disadvantages. Because when you work with specification, you can always get things right. So the million-dollar question is now, what is different between specification and quality? They're not the same thing. They work together, but they're not the same. Specification, we're talking about what exactly I want and how you are going to ensure that you're giving me what I want. Quality, on the other hand, is the degree to which you have given me what I want. So if I say something is low quality, it means you followed my specification, but you did not follow it to the point where I want it. You did not get it 100%. So quality is the measurement, while the specification is the standard. So specification can tell you whether your quality is high or low. If I say what quality, what I want is a white shirt that does not fade, that is my specification. It could be another person's idea of quality could be a white shirt that looks nice, even if it fades after one wash. That's another person's definition of quality. That's another person's specification. My own specification is I want a white shirt that does not fade. So when you go and buy me a white shirt that does not fade, the quality of the shirt, I will determine that quality by washing it and seeing how many times I wash that shirt for it to fade. If I wash the shirt 10 times and it doesn't fade, and I can say it's a high quality. But if I wash it 8 times and it fades, I'll say that's a lower quality shirt. So even if it's what I want, but it's not the highest quality. So quality and specification are similar. Specification is, I want a shirt that does this. Quality is, how well does this meet up to this specification? Understanding these two things will help you to achieve your production management goals. So now we've talked about specification, quality, we're getting closer to being professionals. What is the production What is the purchasing management process? What is the typical purchasing management process? This varies from organization to organization. But in general, when we're talking about purchasing management process, what are the general guidelines we need to look at? Number one, if you want to buy something as a purchasing manager, you need to get the specification that we've already established. Then go and do your market research. Go to do your market research and find out what kind of suppliers you can get product of this specification from. You make inquiries. You send them proposals and say you're looking for this product. You want to come to your shop and check it. You go to the shop and check it. You inspect it. You negotiate with the person who has the product. You test it. And then you pay for it. After paying for it, it gets delivered to you. You sign your receipt. You ensure that what you tested in the store and what you have is of the same quality. Remember to see specification and quality. Back again. You check it's the same quality. You send it to the production manager, and the production manager confirms it. He gets a receipt, and you keep it in your file and say, job done. I have successfully purchased and supplied goods to the production manager, and this is a done deal. You have your records for future purposes. This is the basic purchasing management process. Like I said, it varies from company to company. Different companies could have priorities in different sections. They could do more inspection, less inspection. It depends, but this is the general process that you need to be aware of. So the second thing we're going to talk about is, so what are the general records that a purchasing process should have? We've described the process, so what general records do you think that it should keep? Number one, specification sheet. We're talking about specifications. You need to have a sheet that has specifications. Your purchasing manager's specification should come from the production manager. He should have the specification of the supplier, and the supplier has to tick and indicate what products that he has successfully met those specifications. That is one. So you have to have documents to show that. You have to have an invoice. When things are bought, you need to pay for it. You have to give a receipt to those who are, you have to pick up a receipt, to show that the product has been delivered. There has to be a book that says that the purchasing manager has received and cleared this product. These are some of them. There has to be an inventory record. There can be as many records as possible, as much as your company needs, but these are the basic things that you need to have so that you can be effective. If you need these records, because if something should happen, you need to be able to trace what happened, how it happened, the supplier's name, the specification is said, where things went wrong, so that you don't make the same mistake again. So that's another reason why you keep records. I'm giving you the basic records that you need to keep. So the last thing is, with these records, there's one thing that stands above all, which is the order completion form. If you've ordered something from me, that's good. I have the order, your specification and your order. I need to show or give you a receipt saying the order has been fulfilled, you have cleared that the order has been fulfilled, and my job has been done. That is how you end any purchasing agreement. When you purchase something from the supplier, you need to give him you need to collect your receipt. You have received this item, and when you get something when you supply something to the production office, you need to ensure that you have your record showing that order has been delivered, so that there's no future problem. So we have gone through the process. We have seen how we acquire and deliver goods and services in the purchasing supply chain. Back to our favorite topic, quality. Quality is very important in supply chain management because it's the job of the supply chain manager to ensure that things arrive at the best quality. In the process of in the communication process, getting information from the production manager, going to the market, getting those goods, storing those goods. Storage is another important thing. Ensuring those goods stay at the proper level of storage, and then delivering it to the purchasing manager. A lot of things can go wrong. So it's the job of a purchasing manager to ensure that these things don't go wrong. Like I said, a lot of things can go wrong. So you should ensure that they don't go wrong as much as possible. Like we said earlier, things should not go wrong. And by going wrong means I want something, I want it 10 degrees hot, I get it 8 degrees hot. Something has gone wrong. So quality is about getting things the way you want them. That is quality. It's your standard. It's how well something meets up to that standard. That is what you could determine as quality. So what then are these standards that we could possibly have? We don't have one standard. Different people could interpret the quality of different items in different ways. Somebody could look at the same product and say it's a high quality product. Somebody could look at it and say it's a low quality product. Quality is relative, and there's so many things that could affect how and what somebody defines as quality. Person's perception of the good. Or somebody could look at quality as their perception, how this thing looks to the public. That could be a person's idea of quality. Somebody could look at quality and say quality is how durable a particular thing is, even if it doesn't look nice. Somebody could look at the quality tire and say it doesn't look nice, but it works for me for a long time. Somebody could look at the tire and say this tire is quality tire because it looks very nice, even if it doesn't work well. When I wear it outside, when I drive this car outside, it looks pretty on the car. So there are relative and different terms people use to define quality. So as a purchasing manager, you are responsible for finding out from your production manager, what is your definition of quality? Is it reliability? Is it the ability to meet up to specification? Is it durability? Is it serviceability? You need to figure that out. And that has to be included in your report. So that when you're going to do your investigation, you could use that to give the purchasing manager exactly what he wants to the highest degree. And now we know what quality is. How can we maintain quality? Like I said, this process back and forth between production manager and supply manager, it's a back and forth and back and forth. And you as a purchasing manager have to constantly be monitoring the process. You don't just ask a question and leave it at that. You could ask somebody a question today and come back tomorrow and confirm that this is what the person said. That is inspection, going through things. You need to continually communicate and inspect and monitor what is going around to ensure that these things are meeting the standard. So you must monitor what is going on around, and you must keep on doing your measurements. That's how you maintain quality. You monitor and you measure, and when you see there's any discrepancy, you correct that particular thing. For example, if your production manager said he wants something 10 degrees hot, and you go and you purchase something that's 10 degrees hot, you need to keep on checking. By the time I got to the office, is this still 10 degrees? If it's not 10 degrees, do I warm it? How do I ensure and monitor and control that item so that by the time it gets to the production manager, it is 10 degrees hot? That is quality assurance, monitoring, controlling, and ensuring that things are getting to you on time, the way it's supposed to be. And that will not happen by accident. You have to put in the effort to make sure you're monitoring and controlling things to ensure that the standard remains at a certain level. So, yes, now we know what quality is. How do we get the right price? As purchasing managers, quality comes at a cost. How do we get things at the price that justifies the quality we are getting? You need to know how the suppliers are pricing their products. Different things have different prices for different reasons. People sometimes don't necessarily price a product based on the quality and the performance of the product. And it's important that you know this so that you could know how to get the best deal for the best quality. For example, we have different types of pricing which include cost plus pricing. I have an item that is 10,000 naira and I must sell it at 12,000 naira, whether the quality drops or not. Because I bought it 10,000 naira, I'm selling it 12,000. That's cost plus pricing, the cost plus your margin. Sometimes it doesn't always work that way for goods that have quality that depreciates. If you're a purchasing manager that purchases tomatoes, you may buy a tomato, a supplier may buy a bag of tomatoes 10,000 and then it gets rotten. He can't sell it based on cost plus pricing because now the value has gone down. He will have to sell it based on value pricing. What is the value of this particular thing at this particular time? So that's value pricing. People can price things based on value. So you need to know this. Otherwise, you could go to buy something that has a wrong value And because somebody is using cost plus pricing, you will get it and get damaged goods. So you as a purchasing manager need to know how pricing a particular good is done. Sometimes too, we have what we call psychological pricing. Pricing that makes you feel comfortable. Sometimes if you buy something too cheap, you may not feel comfortable with it. So that is an aspect of psychological pricing. How is the person pricing a particular good towards you? If you know something is based on psychology, price of a good is based on psychology, then you can play psychological tricks to get it at a cheaper price. How is it being priced? Sometimes things are priced because that's the market rate. There's no logical reason, it's just that this is the demand and this is the supply. So this is what the price is being set at. It's important that you are aware, because if you're not aware, then you can't get the best deal. You may be tricked into paying more or paying less for a particular item as a purchasing manager. So then we need to look at what are the things that could affect the price of your product. There are many things, like we said, the value, the market, the time you're buying it, the season. So when you know what's the price method the supplier is using, you need to think about what affects this price in the market. If it's psychological pricing, what kind of mood affects the price so that you can take advantage and get a good deal. And when you want to go and get things on the market, research is key. You need to go and do your proper research as a purchasing manager. You need to know where you can do this investigation. The market, you can talk to suppliers, look at competitors, know where these prices are being gotten from, so that you can know what is influencing these prices at any time, and you can always get the best deal. Now you know about pricing. There's another thing that goes together with pricing. As a purchasing manager, when you get to the market, how do you get your goods? Do you just accept anything anybody tells you, or do you negotiate? Negotiation is something that, as a purchasing manager, you need to do. You need to negotiate, because in purchasing management, you're dealing with the production manager, you're dealing with suppliers, you're dealing with your boss if you work under a particular organization. And all these people have their own needs and their wants. And sometimes these things are not working together. So your job is to negotiate with each and everyone to ensure that everybody wins in the transaction that is taking place. Because if one person wins and the other person loses, then we're going to have a very difficult situation. And people will be trying to get out of that situation. However, if everyone wins, then the relationship can continue. And this basically is what negotiation is about. Trying to find a way for everybody to win in an agreement, in a purchasing transaction. And it's important that the purchasing manager knows how to negotiate, knows the tricks that are involved, knows the terms used in negotiation. You can't cover everything in this video, but you need to go and do more research. But I'll give you the number one principle, and it is win-win. You need to ensure that everybody comes to a compromise where you win and I win. You take advantage of me and I take advantage of you, so that we can both win. That is the benefit of doing business. That is the good thing about doing business. Everybody can win. If you approach negotiation from win-lose, I win, you lose, that makes it difficult for continued business. So in negotiation points, you should ask questions to find out what the person wants, how the person wants it, and tell the person what you can offer, and then you go back and forth to see how you can come up to a compromise that could work for everyone. Now we're going to talk about capital equipment. In purchasing, many times, we are dealing with equipment that costs a lot. Equipment that has large implications for the company. So if we don't negotiate properly or decide on what we really need, understand our specification and our needs, we could run into a lot of trouble. So we need to understand that when we're purchasing equipment that is large, we need to make the right decision. Get the right specifications, quality, get the right price, all the factors we previously talked about are very applicable when we're buying large capital equipment. The question we need to ask ourselves is it worth it? What is the cost of this capital equipment and what is the benefit? Because if we make a mistake in buying capital equipment, the fixing that mistake could be catastrophic. If you buy an equipment that you can't maintain, how do you return your capital equipment that costs millions? How do you return it back? It may be more difficult. So before you make a decision on buying a capital equipment, you need to think of many things, including number one, the cost or the benefit of buying that thing. You need to think of if you need to buy or you need to hire. Sometimes you don't need to buy something outright. You could hire that particular thing. Sometimes you don't need to spend all your company cash on buying capital equipment. You could hire purchase, buy it in bits. So like you're renting it, rent to hire to own. You rent it until you can finally pay everything and own it. These are many of the things you need to consider when you're buying capital equipment as a purchasing manager. So if you were to collect a specification from a production manager and you find out that this thing is a capital equipment, it's very expensive, it's capital intensive, you will need to put more effort into ensuring that you have made the right decision more than items that you purchase on a regular basis. So as a purchasing manager, it's your job to be ensure that you differentiate the two, and when you see that something has a lot of value, you put extra procedures, extra documentation, and extra processes when you're acquiring that thing. Imagine you go and buy a big 10 kVA generator worth millions to find out that it doesn't work with your equipment, it is too low. How do you return that and bring it back? That will cause chaos in your organization. So there has to be excessive documentation when you are dealing with such big items. Meetings to discuss value, meetings to discuss, do you really need this thing? All these things need to be covered when you are dealing with capital equipment. So we have come to the end of this revision exercise. I want to remind you that you should consider the fact that education is common sense. And doing an exam is common sense, except where you have to deal with calculation. Common sense reigns. Understand the question. Don't get confused by big English. Understand the question and see how you could apply what you have been taught in class to what is being asked of you. No lecturer or no one thinks that you are a computer, that you could give everything word for word as it says in whatever research material you used. However, we want to know that you understand and you have a good grasp on what needs to be done. So do very well to remember this, and wish you luck